You only need to know me. I will be the one.
So if you haven't seen my review, or I guess it's a theory video for One Piece chapter 1087, I suggest you check it out. That video focuses heavily on Garp and Aokiji's fate. But for this video I want to address fatherless behavior. Well, actually, I guess it'd be something similar or approximate to fatherless behavior, because amongst Garp's various students, some did have fathers actually. At the very least, grandfather figures, or in general, male role models in their young lives. But first, I want to quickly shout out 2 new channels that I hope all of you that have supported me over the years will subscribe to. I have another channel called D News that will bring you One Piece news and other stuff, from places you might not have access to depending on your social media or where you live. So I definitely subscribe to that. And then there is the spoiler channel, where I will cover the early spoilers that drop while saving the main channel for regular One Piece discussions and theory videos. I'll be regularly dropping videos on all these channels soon. Now, considering what it means to rebel against a father or father figure or mentor, rebellion refers to the expression of defiance or defiant behavior and disregard for the existing parenting rules, the established order, or system. Teenage rebellion can be a normal part of growth and development. Rebellion is a natural part of the human development process. And when it comes to boys rebelling against their fathers, it can carry various meanings. For boys, rebelling against their fathers can be a way to establish their independence and assert their individuality. It is their way of questioning authority and exploring their own identities separate from their fathers. Rebellion against a father figure can also be a response to perceived pressure or expectations placed on them. Boys may rebel in an effort to break free from societal norms that they feel restrict their personal growth. This rebellion can manifest in the form of challenging traditional roles, or pursuing interests or hobbies that may differ from the expectations set upon them. Essentially, people strive to become their own person as they grow older. And for better or worse, this holds true for Garp's disciples. Aokiji has joined the dark side, literally, joining Blackbeard to become a Blackbeard pirate for a yet-to-be fully disclosed reason. The rebellious Monkey D. Dragon has created and is the leader of the Revolutionary Army, the singular greatest force that poses the biggest threat to the current world government that Garp as a Marine serves under, however begrudgingly. And so he is at odds with his own son. They are enemies. Porcus D. Ace, Monkey D. Luffy, grandsons in one way or another of Garp, pretty much gave the grandfather the middle finger and became pirates, following in the footsteps of Garp's former and current enemies, notorious pirates like Roger and Shanks, with the aim of becoming great pirates themselves. And I would throw Sabo in there as an honorable mention maybe, the Flame Emperor that has spurred admiration and sparked further rebellions around the world. In our real world, some would call Garp a bad father if these were his children. But as a few people point out to me in my comment section and on Twitter, it's ironic that Garp refused to become an admiral because he wanted to maintain his freedom to do things his own way, just as Kobe is kind of doing under his sword. And yet Garp is so bitter about those he trained and raised as children or young men, turning down what he views as the wrong path, despite them exhibiting the same freedom that he did when he chose to not become an admiral, to not serve as a bootlicker for the Celestial Dragons. In that way, Monkey D. Dragon might be the better role model, for he fully supports his son Luffy's endeavors and dreams, telling us after rescuing his son from the Marine smoker that the path of piracy was fine too. For what right does one man have to stop another from setting sail? Garp needs to understand that freedom is not for him to have alone then. Freedom belongs to all of us. Otherwise, you're not really alive. You're more so a slave, as slaves are essentially dead inside. Holding back your ambition can leave you feeling this way too, I'd imagine. Better to be who you truly are than to hide, than to suppress that part of yourself, than to live a fake life. But I can understand why Garp is the way he is. Look at the terrible outcomes we do know of and have yet to learn about. We have no idea why Monkey D. Dragon hates the Celestial Dragons or world government so much. And yes, he did clarify in chapter 1083 that not all of them are bad, but his desire to change this world, to turn it upside down like Roger, to destroy it like Blackbeard maybe, the will of every D to destroy God's world, as Corazon told us. The world of the Celestial Dragons, this desire must come from somewhere. Something terrible happened in Dragon's past beyond the destruction of Ohara, I believe. And Garp's fears of those that stray from the right path carry on to Luffy and Ace. Ace, who died right in front of his brother's eyes, and Luffy, who is increasingly becoming a highly wanted man, a terrible criminal like Roger and Dragon before him. You have to wonder what sort of loss Garp himself might have suffered in the past, and does it connect him to his son Dragon's rebellion in any way? But Garp's fist of love might explain this. I'm sure it goes deeper than this, but Garp loves too strongly. His punches are heavy because they carry the weight of his love. This love that made it impossible to refuse to care after another's child, even though that child was the son of his adversary. A pirate, the world considered a devil, the child of the Pirate King Goldie Roger. Yes, Garp might have the biggest heart in the series. This love of Garp is so strong that it has driven him to foolishly rush head-on without proper backup into the territory of a Yonko Blackbeard, Beehive Island full of pirates with stolen devil fruit abilities. Garp, based on chapter 1086, is pretty much taking them all on alone. He seems to be the only one that can. And he's doing this out of both love and a belief in his newest student Kobe, a young man that Garp considers to be the future of the Marines. And yet look at the outcomes of the futures that have come to pass for prior disciples of Garp: Dragon, Aokiji, Ace, and Luffy. It would seem Garp is determined that Kobe not stray off the path of good, the path of justice either. In many ways, especially after the death of Ace, and Dadan's confrontation of him. Maybe Garp feels like a failure. But again, we just spoke about the freedom to choose. And I think in Kobe's case, it's pretty clear he's chosen on his own to remain a Marine. For that is his dream, to become a Marine Admiral. So now, let's tackle why Kobe is the future and Garp's best hope, and what we can expect from him in the near or distant future in terms of endgame powers. From what I can see in the story, Kobe's main issue is self-doubt, fear, a weak mind, as was stated in the non-canon anime scene added to episode 69, where we see Garp training Helmeppo and Kobe. Vice Admiral Garp mentors Kobe and Helmeppo to become strong Marines. Garp also expresses interest in Kobe's friendship with the pirate Monkey D. Luffy, his grandson. Then Garp tells them, Kobe and Helmeppo, to prove their strength, and while Kobe and Helmeppo fight and fail to defeat Garp, Garp reveals that he was merely testing their resolve, their mental power, their will, the very thing that embodies the power known as Haki in One Piece. How normal-looking humans are able to take on titans and gods in the story, like the story of David and Goliath. This ties into what we learn in chapter 1087, where we learn that Aokiji and Garp used armored steel battleships as punching bags, punching deep, gaping craters into these battleships without using any Haki or devil fruit ability, a means of forging determination and will. Haki is earned from experience, which ties into what this one Marine tells us, that no one is born a hero. Like strength, that title has to be earned as well. All of this reinforcing the major Midoriya and All Might vibes from My Hero Academia. Midoriya really is a parallel to Kobe, minus the crazy bonus powers for now. And Garp is very much like All Might, the fading mentor. But revisiting the reality that Kobe is still full of significant amounts of self-doubt, fear, and a weak mind, these are the very things Garp was testing when he trained with Kobe in the past. That a strong body was not enough. A strong will is needed. You have to earn the title of hero, your dream of Admiral, Kobe. Just like you must earn the strength to achieve those things which will in turn unlock abilities such as Haki. And so in terms of what might happen in the near or distant future, I think Koby will unlock Conquerors eventually. How that happens, who can say? But like so many other characters, Conquerors appears to awaken during times of great stress, near-death experiences, or the trauma of loss. It can't be taught. It can't even be earned through training. Instead, it seems like it is earned through the overcoming of adversity, conquering the circumstance you find yourself in to survive or achieve something more. And so again, Garp was not so concerned with Koby's physical strength during their training as he was with Koby's resolve, Koby's mental power. Would he have the will to overcome, to conquer, when that day eventually arrives? The mental fortitude or will Garp spoke of for Koby's training, the fact that Aokiji couldn't use Haki at first, and what was said about earning it, compared to natural-born monsters like Big Mom and Kaido. Natural-born destroyers, as Big Mom is called in one chapter during Elbaf. Koby will likely showcase why Garp was right to put so much trust in him, why Koby is the future of the Marines, the one that can lead them against the great enemies that lie in wait, maybe even the world government itself. I've seen people compare Koby to more of a strategist based on the film Red movie that recently came out, and so compare him to Sengoku. But understand Sengoku is not weak. He's no pushover. He has a ridiculously powerful devil-fruit ability in the form of a mythical Zoan Buddha, and the strength, endurance, and speed that Admiral-level Marines seem to be trained in as well, given Sengoku was the former Fleet Admiral. At least those like Aokiji and I would assume Akainu. Koby has no devil fruit. All he has is his own will. And as of chapter 1086, it seems like he's disappointed many in the community. But if Garp believes in him, so should we, right? And given the passing of prior eras, the death or disappearance of Rocks, the death of Roger, the death of Whitebeard, the defeat of Big Mom and Kaido during Wano, it seems like Garp's era is coming to a close as well. The passing of the torch is at hand, perhaps foreshadowed by what Garp implied about it not being so bad for the old era to come to an end. I would imagine his ending is included, whenever that ending does arrive. Another member of the old guard that passes on his will to a character more suited to the current era of the One Piece storyline. Just as Sabo seems ready to overtake Monkey D. Dragon as the leader of rebellion, just as Monkey D. Luffy is the man Roger is waiting for, who will turn this world upside down. Which is interesting because again, Garp's sense of freedom and own personal rebellion is on display by his refusal to become a Marine Admiral. Garp refused to become an Admiral because he did not want to work for or protect the Celestial Dragons. And yet we know that on God Valley, Garp fought against the Rocks pirates alongside Roger, and protected not just slaves but their masters, the very Celestial Dragons that had enslaved them. I wonder what changed, and I wonder how this ties into Koby's possible inheritance of Garp's will, or Koby surpassing Garp when Koby's own dream is to become an admiral. Does this not mean that Koby, in becoming an admiral, will have to serve under the Celestial Dragons? Doesn't this complicate Koby's dream somehow? Or will Koby's sense of justice be revealed and further shaped in doing so? When does a Marine, a member of the Navy, discover the justice they want to practice? The justice they believe in? Has anyone ever asked that question in the community before? You aren't just born with it, a sense of justice for the world. Your personality and experiences shape it. Maybe your life's dream shapes it too. Koby's actions on Marineford, his cry or plea for peace, the senseless loss of human life. I made a post on Twitter asking why Garp has so much faith that justice will prevail here on Beehive Island. Despite seeing what happened to Ace, the manner in which Ace was cruelly executed in front of his grandson Luffy by a fellow Marine, a brother dying in his brother's arms, that should shatter the faith of any man and lead him to realize what Doflamingo said about the victors deciding what justice is, as if it were nothing more than a fairy tale made up by some god in the sky. It would certainly turn me into a pirate or a rebel, like Dragon. But Garp still believes in a brighter future, akin to Martin Luther King's famous words even, which remind us that the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice. Change takes a long time, but it does happen, and so justice will prevail. And so maybe Kobe will be able to become an admiral despite the conflicting position it will put him in. Or maybe Kobe will only become an admiral once there are no longer any celestial dragons to serve under, only once there is a new world government, shaped by Kobe in part in this new world we're currently in. Or maybe Kobe as a member of SWORD disconnected somewhat from the rest of the Marines. Maybe Kobe will continue down this path so that he can pursue his own version of justice freely. Maybe he will one day become the SWORD leader to oppose the current order of Marines. Or maybe Kobe will recognize there is no conflict at all, that a true Marine protects everybody, regardless of who they are, god or devil, noble or pirate, upstanding citizen or criminal. Just like Sanji cooking for anyone based on their hunger regardless of who they are, refusing to let anyone starve, for that is the duty of a cook. Chopper as a doctor caring for just about anyone as well, for that is the burden of care placed on the shoulders of a doctor. I wonder if Kobe's justice will be one of nonviolence then, or violence as a last resort, moral justice, that everyone is worthy of protection, and so equal justice. This notion of equality then will not spare Luffy from Kobe going after him whenever we get to that point. That despite being friends, that despite working under other Marines whose rank is superior to his own, despite the creation of this world and its laws by the celestial dragons and God, no one is above justice, not even them. We are all equal. And so to end the video, let's go back to how so many have strayed from Garp's intention for their lives. I wonder if the same will happen to Kobe, since Oda's story is about the freedom to choose after all. But Kobe's freedom will just so happen to go in the right direction this time, at least in terms of sticking to the path of a Marine. No other protege of Garp has had the potential to follow his footsteps, and yet for some reason I feel like Kobe is about to become his own character with his own sense of justice, whereas someone like Smoker maybe in his endless pursuit of Monkey D. Luffy is a better fit for the next Garp, given Garp's relentless chasing of the Pirate King Goldie Roger in the past. But I could be wrong. It could be Kobe. What does Garp mean though? Or what is Oda hinting when he says Kobe is the future? Well, it goes back to Garp's interest in Kobe's friendship with a pirate, I think. The pirate Luffy. Could Garp have ever been friends with Roger in a different life? Who knows? Perhaps they once were friends before things got too out of hand. But in Kobe's case, just like he defied Akainu after seeing what happened to a Marine that crossed the path of absolute justice, Kobe knows mercy. Whether he also has a fist of love like Garp or not is irrelevant, but that same mercy led Garp to care for Roger's son, a recognition of innocence, that there are no winners in war, that needless killing is the opposite of what is just, that the old ways of the victors deciding justice as if it were some sort of whim, a roll of the dice, these things must change. There are, after all, certain rights and wrongs that are constants, and people aren't just evil because of who they are or what they look like. These ideas, I think, reflect Kobe's perspective of the world, and the vision of a future Marine Admiral that will have not just the strength, but the mental fortitude, the will to reshape the world in this image, an image where even pirates and Marines can be friends, a sort of justice where nobody is your enemy. But as usual, we will have to wait and see. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, leave a comment below and I might respond. Follow me on Twitter to talk with me personally there. You can find me on Twitter at the following address at VinlandRagnar. My Twitter page is on the screen. Share the video with your friends if you want, and also make sure to subscribe to the news channel and spoiler channel in the description box and pinned in the comment section below. I also recently dropped a video on Zoro's potentially insane confrontation against the bald Gorosei Nasajuro that you definitely don't want to miss, especially if you're a Zoro stan, which I know some of you are. As always, there's more to come. Until next time.